I thought it was easier to ruin my prep so I wouldn't have to experience that heartbreak again at the end. Like when I stepped off stage, I literally wanted to cry.
Listen to me as I slow it down. Can't tell yours if you want it. Enjoy the ride, 'cause those ups and those downs is what makes it worth it.
Hello YouTube, it's been a while. It's probably been a good year and a half since I have filmed anything about my bodybuilding journey, and there's a good reason for that. I feel like anything on social media, it's always a highlight reel, but we tend to try to hide any negatives that are going on, or just at least like not post about it. But I think it is very important for me to open up, film this video, and it's going to be a very raw, very honest and vulnerable video. It almost makes me a little uncomfortable filming this, and that's why I kind of probably look and sound a little awkward right now. But it is very important to talk about the downsides, the not so great, the dark things that you go through, just because if you always see the highlights of someone's journey and you decide to take on a similar journey and then you start going through the downsides, you might feel that it is abnormal, or you might be wondering, why am I going through this? When in reality it is completely normal. And I think that's why I really just want to open up and talk about the dark sides of bodybuilding, just so you know that you're not alone. Now, I'm not here to say that bodybuilding is the worst thing in the world. Not at all. If you think this is what the video is going to be, then just click off, because I still absolutely love bodybuilding. That is still my passion. It's just the reality that anything that looks really good, there's going to be like sucky parts of it as well. So the last time I posted a competing video, it was probably my last show day vlog, which that was back in March of 2023. And I left that video feeling quite shitty about myself. But before we dive into that, I want to give a little bit of a backstory so all of this makes sense. Now, if you have been following me for a while, or you follow me on Instagram, you've probably heard these things before, but for the people that are new or have not heard these things, I just want to give you a little bit of background info so you know what's going on. So I started competing in 2022. Yes, because it was a year after COVID. And I am born and raised in Iowa. I lived in Iowa for the first 23 years of my life. So the first 2 years that I did bodybuilding, I was competing back in Iowa. And I ended up winning my natural pro card in 2022. And I left Iowa like a month after that to move down to Florida. So I won my pro card and then we moved. And unfortunately, down here in Florida, there's not any shows of that federation, which is totally fine, because I ended up wanting to switch to the NPC because it is like a bigger, more competitive league. But I left Iowa feeling so fucking good about myself because I just won my pro card. I was in the best shape of my life. Like, I was this small town girl about to move to the sunshine state of Florida. I was like, ooh, I am making it. Like, I honestly felt so damn good. And then we came down here. I switched to the NPC. I ended up going through, I think it was like a 6-month growing phase because I knew I had to put on a little bit of size. And then I went into a prep for like 5 months. And then that ended up bringing me to March of 2023. And that's when I stepped on stage in Florida with the NPC. And like looking back on it, it was a stupid decision, but I didn't pick just any NPC show. I picked one of the most prestigious NPC shows in Florida, The Clash. And so it wasn't just people locally I was competing with. I was competing with girls from DC, California. I'm pretty sure there was some girl that was like international. Like it was a high level of competition. And to be totally honest, I placed fucking last. Like it was bad. I didn't get first call outs. And I think after like a certain point, they just stop judging you. Like if you don't get top 10 or whatever it is in your show, like you're just basically last. And I was so disappointed. Like when I stepped off stage, I literally wanted to cry. I'm sure if you go back to that video and you watch my reaction afterwards, I probably don't look that happy because I felt so terrible. I just went from being the #1 in Iowa and winning my pro card and then coming down here and getting like dead last. And that was after taking 6 months to bulk and then another 5 months to cut. Like I pushed myself so freaking hard for the last year and I was at the bottom. And I took that and I beat myself up so bad. And like hindsight, it's crazy looking back on it because it's like, girl, you were in the best shape of your life at that moment. How you stepped on stage was honestly the best you could have done in that moment. I was leaner than what I was when I won my natural pro card. I had a little bit of extra muscle, but just because I leaned down even more, I looked tinier and thinner. And I didn't have as much muscle as I thought. Like that's just the truth. Even though I have been working out for several years and I was always focused on bodybuilding, I didn't have as much muscle as I thought. That's just plain and simple. And I mean, it was stupid, but it just really got to me. And so later that year, probably, I think it was like 4 months later, I tried to prep for another show and I ended up having to pull out because my body was not responding. It was not happy, which makes sense because if I just did a 5-month prep, lost like 20-25 pounds, 4 months is not enough time to recover to go back into another prep. So it was a stupid decision that I thought that I could anyway. But having that quote unquote like failed prep really didn't help. I felt even shittier about myself because then I was like, oh, well now I don't have enough muscle and I didn't take my reverse very well. So now I'm not as lean as I wanted to keep it off season. And now I'm like a failure and I can't go through with a successful prep. So there was just like so many things that I was just beating myself up about. And so I took the rest of the year off. So that was another, I don't know, 5 months at that point. So then this brings us to the beginning of this year, so 2024. And I was like, okay, at this point it has been, that would be like 7 months since I technically did a show last. I really wanted to do a show, so I thought I was ready to go into a prep. So in the beginning of the year, I tried to go into another prep. I would stick to it for a couple of weeks and then I would fall off track. And I would either binge or I would self-sabotage and essentially not do what I needed to do. That's just being honest. And I kept falling into that same pattern. And it was weird because that is not me. I haven't had this issue until it was like when I was back in like high school and college. Before I even started my bodybuilding journey, I would always try to go on these little diets, you know, the ones that everyone would do where you just wanted to lose a couple pounds, and it would just be kind of like this yo-yo dieting for me. And this was before I got in the health and fitness field. And I was noticing this pattern coming back up again, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I am a coach. I know what to do. I have gone through multiple successful preps at this point. Why am I doing this to myself? And it wasn't something that I figured out right away. I had this problem for months where I would just diet, I'd fall off track. I'd diet, I'd fall off track. And every single time I would fail, I would just beat myself up even more. And I was just so in my head, I'm like, am I not even gonna be able to prep ever again? Like, am I just literally a complete failure? And what was happening is I kept self-sabotaging because I was holding on to that feeling of when I came off stage. I thought that I was too small. I thought that I wasn't good enough. And I was deep down concerned that if I did go through a prep again, that I was just going to be disappointed at the end. And so in my subconscious mind, I thought it was easier to ruin my prep so I wouldn't have to experience that heartbreak again at the end. And after doing this back and forth for several months, I told myself, okay, I just need to take a break, because I know from a professional standpoint, yo-yo dieting is not doing me any good. It's just literally wasting my time and ruining my metabolism. I'm not able to gain any significant muscle during this time. I'm not losing any significant body fat during this time. So what am I doing? I'm like, I'm gonna be wasting more time trying to push myself to prep when I'm not actually ready. So I was just like, okay, I'm taking time off. And again, that was mentally tough because I wanted to compete. I wanted to step back on stage, but I just wasn't there. I wasn't ready. If you are going through a prep and you are dreading it, you're not ready for it. You shouldn't be doing it. You should be fully happy and excited and motivated when you go through a prep. It shouldn't be like pulling hairs, especially within the first couple of weeks. That's a huge red flag. And at first I was really concerned because I had this idea in my mind that I needed to compete every year. I was like, if I at least compete once a year, that gives you enough time to prep and then take like an off season and grow. Because there's girls out there that will do like several shows a year, and that's fine. But that was just not me at the moment. It wasn't even me at the moment to do a show this year. And so I took this entire year off and I just focused on finding my love for training again and just trying to find a balance of just eating healthy. Because eating healthy is let me reword that, not eating healthy. Eating a proper amount is what I struggle with, not the training side of things. I fucking love to train. That is my shit. I could go to the gym every single day, push my absolute hardest, and that is the highlight of my day. The nutrition part of it is where I can struggle with. When I'm not in a good mindset, I have the tendency to want to overeat. And in the beginning of the year and coming off of my last show, I was not in a good mindset. So that's what I kept struggling with. And so this year, I just took time of focusing on just trying to find a balance and not having so much pressure around food and just trying to create that healthy balance again. And I would take some days where I would track. I would take some days where I would just let myself eat like normal. And I found out that I did so much better with eating a normal amount when I wasn't putting so much pressure on it. When I tried to track every single day, that's when I would have those days where I would just be like, fuck it, and I'd break, and then I'd have this big binge or eat stuff that I wasn't supposed to. So just like relieving that pressure off of myself and just giving myself grace, I was able to find that healthy relationship with food again. And that is so important when it comes to competing. So, long story short, I took this whole year off, and now I am going back into a prep, and this time it feels right. And I am so excited to step on stage again next year. Ironically, at the same exact show that I did 2 years ago. So it is still a really huge and prestigious show, but it's really close to where we live. And I kind of just want to use this as my comeback. But really the moral of this story is you're going to go through times where you feel like shit about yourself. And I don't want to say it's normal, because you shouldn't feel that way, but it does happen. Especially in bodybuilding, because this is such a perfectionist sport where we are trained to like be so nitpicky about our physiques. Like, looking back when I stepped on stage, I was literally in the best shape of my life. But I wasn't happy with myself because I wasn't to the #1 standards of bodybuilding. And that's really a mindfuck because just because you're not where you want to be at your end goal doesn't mean you're not on the right path and you're not doing what you are supposed to do. I needed to realize that if I want to look like blank at the end of my bodybuilding journey, so like the #1 Olympian in the world, if I want to look like her, I have to look how I looked at my last show, because that was just a stepping stone. If I compare my first NPC show to my last natural show, side by side, I made progress. I looked better. Did I look like my end result of what I wanted? No, but it was a stepping stone. It was progress. And I know when I step on stage next, I'm still not gonna look like the end product. There is still gonna be things to fix, but I can at least reflect back on my last show and know and hope, I'm gonna reword that, I'm trying to work on my mindset, and know for a fact and shoot to be better than how I looked last time. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. I'm sure every bodybuilder, every female in the world who just wants to look better feels this way. We're always trying to compare yourself to your end goal, but your end goal is almost like a figment of your imagination. Like, does your end goal really exist? Because once you achieve your goal, or like the number on the scale you want to see, I can guarantee when you get there, there's going to be something else you want to fix. So it's like you never are really going to get there. And that's okay, as much as that sounds kind of like fucked up. You just need to focus on being better than where you were before. And that's like my whole premise of this prep. And I worked a lot on my mindset, because even though bodybuilding is technically a physical sport, I think it is 90% mental. Because if your mind is not in the right place, you're not going to be able to physically do what you need to do. You need to show up every fucking day at the gym. You need to show up every day in the kitchen and eat what you need to eat, no matter how you feel, no matter how your motivation is. And all of that stuff comes from what your mind is telling you. If your mind is not telling you to do the right things, physically you're not going to do what you need to do. And I think that was a huge piece of what I was missing. And I worked a lot on trying to relieve my anxiety, trying to have more belief in myself, and that actually stemmed to trying to have like a closer relationship with God as well. And I know this can be like a touchy subject because I know not everyone is religious, and that's totally fine, but I think you can still get learning lessons out of this. I saw this picture on Instagram and it said a bird doesn't land on a branch having faith that the branch won't break. It lands on the branch having faith that if the branch breaks, it will be able to fly away. And I think that's huge. Like, that quote sticks in my mind because I used to always worry, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? And I used to sit there and just stress about it because I felt like I had to do these certain things and everything had to fall in a certain way. But in reality, you need to have enough faith in yourself, or you need to have enough trust in God that when something doesn't go your way, that you will be able to pivot and you will end up being okay. And I think you just take a little bit to sink that in, because that is so deep. I am such a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And I think these things go hand in hand. When we were living in Iowa and we ended up having to leave our jobs and move down here, and all of our shit was stolen from the moving company. In that moment, we were freaking out. But in the end, it ended up being okay. We needed to downsize. We didn't need all of that stuff. It taught us to be happy with what we have and find strength in our relationship, not in the materials that we had. When I was going through my last prep and I failed and I wasn't able to compete, I'm glad that I didn't compete because I wasn't going to be the best version of myself. I wasn't ready at that time. Versus now, going through prep, and in March when I do step on stage, I am going to be the best version of myself. When it comes to running my business, sometimes I'm like, shoot, I wish I would have done this 4 years ago. I wish I would have started earlier. But to be honest, back then, I don't think I would have been able to handle what I can handle now. I think that I was meant to start my business when I did and have the opportunities when I did. And at the end of the day, all of this comes from just trusting in God, trusting in yourself, and knowing that you are going to do everything that you can do in that moment to set yourself up for success and be your best self. And then after that, you just gotta let things happen. And it just makes you appreciate life a lot more in all of the little things. I love bodybuilding. I would not give that up for the world. I will probably be doing this when I'm 50, 60 years old. Will I be competing every single year? No. I know that there's gonna be a couple years in the future where I'm gonna be pregnant and I'm not gonna be competing during that time. But after I have a kid, you damn well know for sure I'm gonna be stepping on that stage again. So it's life. We all go through the ups and downs. Just know that when you are going through the downs, you're there to learn a lesson and that it will get better. But yeah, that is what I wanted to talk about today. That was just kind of a little bit of a ramble session, but that was what was on my mind, and kind of like a overview of what was happening the last couple of years and what is going to be happening in the next couple of months. So I think I'm going to start making a YouTube series documenting this prep. I would like to do it once every other week or so. We'll see how that goes. I know I'm not the most consistent with uploading videos, but we're definitely going to keep in touch. I post all the time on Instagram, so follow me on there and you'll see a lot of my posts. I actually just did a review of this Sour Punch Rise energy drink on there. I was so cautious in just off-put by this drink looking at the package, but actually drinking it, I was surprised. And I do a lot of reviews of like other shit on my Instagram as well. But yeah, if you relate to any of this, comment down below. I'd like to hear your guys' side of this as well. Because I know I'm not alone. And I would love to see what other people are thinking as well. But otherwise, again, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Listen to me as I